Big B, these freaking auditions are killing me. We've been sitting here for like 8 hours. We've went through countless and countless of possible replacements.
I want to go home.
And nobody fits the bill. What? Yeah. But apparently we have like 4 people left. Right. Let's just get through these 4 people. I want to go home.
All right, come on in. Okay. What qualities do you possess that help us here at Triple Threat Talk?
What do you think? I don't know, Big B. He's kind of scary. He doesn't really fit our demographic. I mean, no.
Sorry, man.
Sorry.
Next!
Spider sense tingling.
Spider-Man. What do you think, Big B?
Well, Spider-Man is epic.
Spider-Man is definitely epic.
But his downfall is he's Spider-Man, so he'll probably be too busy enough to help us with the show. So, sorry.
Next!
So, what qualities do you possess that help us here at Triple Threat Talk? Well, you know, he doesn't ramble.
He doesn't ramble.
I liked it.
I like it. He's very quiet.
Very quiet.
Yeah,
I mean, right now you're in the lead, so congratulations. Right now you're our next co-host, unless the last person isn't, that great.
Right, absolutely. I mean, just hang tight in the green room, and if we need you, we'll call you back in. Thank you.
Next. All right. What qualities do you possess to help us out here at Triple Threat Talk?
I've worked here before.
How can you be so sure?
I've been in the previous videos.
If you are who you say you are, then tell us something about us two that only you would know.
Well, I got nothing on Postmaster over there, but Big B?
And welcome everyone to another exciting edition of Triple Threat Talk. It's good to be back.
Unbelievable. Great to have you back.
Thank you.
Great to have you back, Doc.
Thank you. I went to Arizona with Erica and her family. Very, very grateful for all that. It's beautiful country out there. And I just...
So, it looks like you didn't get Kevin called, did you?
I was unsuccessful.
We warned him, didn't we? We warned him.
Yeah, I was unsuccessful in my mission to get Cobb to play for the Niners, but...
So it looks like you're back here.
I'm back here. And
empty-handed.
Good to be back. And we're going to cover we're going to cover a little bit of wrestling today, mainly a lot more sports-oriented.
Yeah, we got a lot of sports to talk about.
Especially the University of Miami and what's going down there.
They're in big trouble.
But first, we're going to start off with some user questions.
All right. Let's kick them right off here. JB11 2011.
Thank you.
Do you think Triple H is going to turn heel and bring back the NWO?
I don't think the NWO is coming back because of the fact that, for those of you who don't know, Scott Hall is in really bad physical condition. I mean, the guy is... If you've seen pictures of him recently, he doesn't look too good. And also, he was supposed to be at an indie show this past weekend. He didn't show up. So it doesn't seem like Scott Hall's ever coming back to wrestling unless he somehow...
He's got to clean up his act.
Yeah, he's got to clean up his act. As far as Triple H going heel is concerned...
I see that.
I can see that happening, but I'll explain more later about what's going on with Kevin Nash and his involvement in WWE right now. But I don't see Triple H going heel and bring back the NWO. But I see him maybe making a heel turn against CM Punk. I could see that, yeah.
Right, absolutely. I totally agree. I don't foresee Triple H turning heel anytime soon or bringing back the NWO.
Yeah, people are still glad to see him. I don't see the NWO coming back, but like I said, I definitely see some conflict with CM Punk. And, may not even be heel. It could be like Cena and CM Punk right now. People are still cheering them both.
And we also noticed that you had a second question, but unfortunately we don't really feel comfortable in answering it. So
we really do appreciate the questions, but we don't feel comfortable. And our users can just go back last week
and see what the question is.
See what the question was. We don't even feel
comfortable. And a comment that was released from Against All Odds 20... regarding the New Japan Pro Wrestling saying that it was bigger than WWE.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We respectfully disagree with you.
Yeah.
do you see New Japan Pro Wrestling anywhere on cable television?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, I mean, obviously, you have your own opinion.
And you're entitled to
right.
that.
And you're entitled to that.
We encourage you to please, because that's what we have these talk shows about, for you all to get your opinions. That's why we encourage comments and questions for stuff like that. So, I mean, it's great that you have your own opinion, but...
And we know you don't like the idea of me personally calling it the big time,
right.
but I know you guys agree with me that WWE is the big time.
It is the big time.
Yes.
I mean... Just because New Japan Pro Wrestling, they might be a little bit older, and yeah, they've started, they even said that that's where they got the idea for the NWO.
Right,
I mean, they've definitely given some great ideas. I will give credit where credit is due. I just don't see them being the big of the big, because people, when you grow up, people don't say, did you want to be a wrestler for who? They don't say New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Unless you're in Japan.
You're right. You might say ECW, and you might say WCW, but most people...
It's funny. It's funny. I'll touch on that real quick before we get to the next question. Some people say oh, this wrestler sucks, or this wrestler's not that good because you see him maybe not pushed on TV. In my opinion, every wrestler's pretty much good if they're good enough to be in WWE.
Yeah, if they're good enough to be
absolutely.
in WWE.
And I mean, one last thing to touch on: when you go to the bookstore, you don't see an NJPW magazine.
Right.
You see a WWE magazine.
Or a wrestling magazine with everything. So.
Right, absolutely. Right. This question's for you, Big
really?
B.
Okay.
This comes from Hawkeye Drifter. Thank you again, sir. Why does someone from Louisville like the Seattle Seahawks?
Okay, well, I used to live in New Jersey, and I grew up watching the Jets. And then sometimes the Seahawks would play on TV where I would watch them, and I kind of grew up watching like Ricky Waters and Jim Zorn and those players like that, something like that. So I just kind of gravitated towards that team. And then I did follow Matt Hasselbeck through college too. I saw him play in Boston College too. So I was a big fan of his. And when he came to Seattle, I liked him too. So again, even though Hasselbeck is gone, I'm still a fan of his. I'm still rooting for him on the Titans. So, yeah, just watching the Seahawks play when I was a kid, that's how I grew up a Seahawks fan.
All right. From FWA Owner 22, what do you guys think about the SEC invitations?
I think it's great. I think it's about time. You're going to see Texas A&M probably get extended to the West. Of course, they're getting rid of the divisions in basketball.
Right.
East and West will no longer be in the SEC in basketball. They're still going to be there in football, and I think Texas A&M would be a great addition to the already powerhouse of the West with your Auburn, your Alabama,
absolutely,
your Mississippi State, everything, Arkansas, LSU, and I think that Texas A&M would be a great fit there, and I think Clemson will be a great fit on the East. The weaker football teams, but the stronger basketball teams, and I think that. They're gonna fit in. They're gonna fit in just perfectly.
Yeah. I'll touch on that just real quick. I mean, great what you said. I agree with everything, and it just boosts the SEC's conference. I mean, the teams that didn't maybe get noticed before, they're gonna get noticed in a powerhouse conference like the SEC. And I'll tell you this right now: come college football season, the SEC is gonna be stacked.
Right.
They're gonna be one dominant conference.
I mean, they've always been the dominant conference in football, but the addition of Texas A&M especially. Is going to, just take it to a whole nother level.
The one thing for me now is that Florida State is now in the SEC, and that's a big move for them because they were in the ACC for so long.
Right.
And now, isn't Florida in the SEC also?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
They haven't finalized that yet. They haven't been extended an invitation just yet.
Right.
But yeah, big thing for SEC.
Right, absolutely. Undead Warrior 75. Hey, thanks for all the questions, man. You must be our biggest fan, and we appreciate it.
We love you, buddy. We really
First
do.
question we'll address from him. If they bring back the hardcore title, who would you bring back to fight for it?
Steve Blackman. I mean, Steve Blackman is personally one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
I love Steve Blackman. His match with Ken Shamrock are awesome, but I will touch on a few other people. I like Steve Blackman. Who doesn't like Al Snow?
Yeah.
Al Snow. I mean, what does everybody want?
Head.
What does everybody need?
Head.
Exactly.
That wasn't PG, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Like, I like Steve Blackman. I like Al Snow. I think Raven was good with it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, he can't be back because, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Crash Holly was like probably the best hardcore champion ever because defended 24/7. It's when they started the 24/7 rule. I liked Midian when he fought with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bradshaw was good with it. A slew of people that fought for it. I mean, it was great to see. Because if they brought back the hardcore title, it'd have to be the 24/7 because that's when it was the best. It was so random. People would lose it or win it anywhere, and that's what we did in DWA. Yeah. We had Hardcore Madness. I mean, that's where we got it from.
People in and I was going to touch on that.
Yeah.
People who watch DWA know that I was not a fan of Hardcore Madness. However, I did like it in real life. It was just corny.
Yeah,
you know,
but that's where we got the idea from. The hardcore rule 24/7. So I just love the idea.
I agree with them. I mean, Steve Blackman, Crash Holly.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Even Mick Foley. I mean,
Chainsaw Charlie.
Chainsaw Charlie. I mean, that's epic. I mean, Chainsaw Charlie. Okay.
People, yeah.
So, and then Warrior 75, your second question. What do you think is the biggest botch in WWE history?
We got some differing opinions here. I think, obviously the tragic accident, I'm not sure what you're talking about, if you're talking about moves or botches overall, but if you're talking about botches overall, I'm going to say Owen Hart's tragic death.
Right.
That
wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really wrestling related.
Right.
But
I don't think that's what he was leaning towards.
If he was leaning towards wrestling, I'm going to say Steve Austin getting his neck crushed also by Owen Hart.
Okay. What I was going to say was, and I touched on this with you before we started filming, D'Lo Brown. Now, for most of you might not know what I'm talking about, but I'll go into it. There was a house show between D'Lo Brown and a former wrestler named Darren Drozdoff, who's also known as Droz at the time. And D'Lo Brown went for his patented finishing move, the lowdown, which is like a lift-up powerbomb. And what happened was D'Lo Brown grabbed him and he slipped out of his hands, and Darren Drozdoff landed on his head. Now, yours is an unfortunate thing that happened to Steve Austin because it affected him towards the end of his career. But with Droz, he never wrestled again. He's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, so I think that's the biggest botch. And D'Lo Brown, I've heard him in interviews countless times. He was never the same. He did come back, but he never had the same mindset again because he couldn't live with the fact that he ended someone's career who had tons and tons of potential.
Right. I mean, I totally agree with Big B here. I mean, it was an obvious, unfortunate accident. It wasn't planned to happen. It wasn't meant to happen. So definitely that has to be one of the biggest botches in WWE history. Absolutely. Undead Warrior, 75 again. Hey, like I said, we love it.
Yeah.
If they ever brought back Hulk Hogan and he took on The Undertaker, who would they put over?
Big B and I had a short discussion right before the show. He gave me the look of, whatever when I said Taker across the board. He said Taker at WrestleMania, and then I came up with a good point, and that is, after Hogan and the WWE had their recent spat, I don't see Hogan ever winning that particular.
Well, I don't see Hogan ever coming back.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I would put Taker at WrestleMania, but Hogan probably anywhere else. Like I said to you, like Michael's face Hogan. I thought Michael should have won that match, but he sold to Hogan. So.
Right. And a couple questions that I know you would like to touch on that was brought up last week.
Mm-hmm. Wait. There's one more question from Undead Warrior that we would like to discuss, the two of us. He said something about the DWA.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep you all surprised.
Yeah, like if I've read some comments on our page that they think the DWA is done. Well, we're gonna surprise you. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. So last week there was a couple things that was brought up that I know you wanted to talk about. First one, a question I posed to Big B and the viewers. What is a bigger accomplishment? 600 home runs or 3,000 hits?
I'm gonna say 600 home runs. And my reason for that is because, with a home run, with a hit, it can just be a base hit, it can be a double, it can be whatever. When you're talking home run, you're talking at least 1 point there. 1 run, I'm sorry. You're talking a chance to hit the scoreboard, whereas with a regular hit, although that is an extreme epic accomplishment, I'm not going to knock that at all.
Using his word there?
Yeah, sorry.
Using my words here.
But yeah, 3,000 hits is a great accomplishment, but to me, when you're helping the team win, more and more you're getting runs on the board with home runs.
It's like I put it to Big B last week. It's a lot easier to hit a single than it is a home run.
And I don't know if you saw last week, but I mentioned the 3,000 hits was probably more for me because I mentioned that the 3,000 hits with Derek Jeter, no one in that club, the Yankees have ever had 3,000 hits.
And that's something to be proud of for Derek Jeter, but at the same time it has no bearing on the rest of baseball overall.
And there's multiple people that have 3,000 hits more than the 600 home runs.
Right. So. And another question, what is your opinion on Cam Newton?
I have been waiting
I waited for this for myself.
For this question the entire week. Okay. I did see the show when I was in Arizona. The Arizona. Cam Newton, I think, has a lot of people fooled how he's going to be in the NFL. The first couple weeks he did, he was totaled the first 2 weeks of preseason. Of course, preseason doesn't mean much. I get that, but it is a chance for people to tune up. And if anything else, it's a chance for people to tune up. 15 for 33, which is a little bit less than half completion for an average of 100 yards a game. That is abysmal.
Well, he does play for the Panthers.
Right, he does play for the Panthers, but at the same time, they have Jimmy Claus in there who didn't do much
Well, that's the reason I was going to touch on that with you here. I said, like, I don't know why they drafted Cam Newton for him anyway. Jimmy Clausen had 1 year to start, so I don't know why they're not giving him a chance.
Because Jimmy Clausen was terrible.
Give him a chance to grow.
Yeah, you got to give.
You can't have a guy go 1 year in the league and say, like, okay, we're going to replace him. Right. Give him a chance to grow.
But they obviously didn't want him there, or they wouldn't have drafted Cam Newton.
But still,
that's poor decision making.
I realize that, but they obviously didn't want him there.
Cam Newton's not even going to be starting, to my knowledge. I mean, the job is still up in the air.
Right.
So if Cam Newton winds up not starting, then they blew a first-round pick that they would have been better off choosing Nick Fairley on their defense.
Right.
I mean, absolutely. But the thing also I want to just touch on with Cam Newton does one thing, and this is the reason he was such a success in the SEC. Because the SEC is known for their running backs.
Right.
Cam Newton is a running quarterback. He cannot do that in the NFL.
No.
He will get crushed every step of the way. Peyton Manning is a prime example of what to do correctly. He's a smart player all around. He doesn't run except for when there's going to be either he's going to lose yardage or he's going to extend the ball.
Right.
Let me explain something that's funny. And if you can find this, look it up. I don't remember if it was last season or the season before.
Last season.
But he had like a 20 or 30 yard run. He looked like Forrest Gump running the ball downfield till Peyton don't ever run.
Run!
That's why I said he barely utilizes the run.
Right.
He utilizes the run when he knows he has to. That is what makes
you know what I noticed about like running quarterbacks? Michael Vick is the prime example, but I noticed last season he didn't run as much. He threw more than anything.
And look what happened to Tim Tebow after one season in the NFL. He's now Denver's third quarterback.
Now,
and they've already named Kyle Orton as starter.
And Brady. They haven't decided if it's going to be Brady Quinn or Tim Tebow.
So I think Cam Newton's. It's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. It is very possible that he shapes up, but while he stays a running quarterback, he's going to have a short NFL career.
The fact he's on the Panthers doesn't help his chances either.
You wanted to touch on Larry Fitzgerald?
Oh God! Wow, that's a lot of green right there.
That is a lot of green.
This past week, Larry Fitzgerald got, I think, to my recollection, possibly the biggest deal a receiver's ever gotten. 8 years, $120 million. And if that wasn't enough, he gets $50 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and the thing about this is, I've actually got a little bit of first-hand knowledge on this. When I was down in Phoenix, people down there love him. They absolutely love the guy. He's charitable. He's popular. He gives back to the community in more ways than just money. He's always sponsoring youth events. You know, I'm a 49ers fan, but I'll tell you what, I'm on the Larry Fitzgerald train after hearing that. People love him.
He's a hell of a catcher.
Let me run something by you about Larry Fitzgerald. Last year, it was well documented, the Cardinals had nobody as a quarterback.
Right. Matt Leonard, really?
And it was like Max Hall and but anyway, Larry Fitzgerald still piled up 97 catches with nobody as a quarterback. Now he has somebody decent in Kevin Cobb. Sorry, Gary. But, I mean, he should have yet another banner year. Yeah. And congratulations to him. He obviously earned the contract.
Absolutely.
Another recent big signing. It's really got me worried here. Peyton Manning, as you know, came off of neck surgery for the second time. Said 6 to 8 weeks he should be ready. Now it's even in doubt, will he be ready for game 1 of the NFL season?
Like I was telling you before the show, Bill Polian, the president, said to Chris Mortensen of ESPN that they don't think that he's going to be ready, and they're actually preparing to not have him be there for game 1.
And I tell you what, if he misses game 1, you're going to be surprised. I don't think Painter gets the job. I think he goes to Mike Hartline.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think, and I mean with the recent tweets of Jim Irsay being in Hattiesburg, and we all know who lives in Hattiesburg, the old gunslinger. I don't foresee that happening.
No.
But maybe, I mean, you take a look at like a Mark Bulger or somebody to fill in.
What?
Curtis Painter.
How about Dante
Curtis Painter's not going to do it.
Curtis Painter is not going to do it.
I think, like I said, your best bet is going to be Mike Hartline. He just played. He played more recently than Jared Painter has.
Right.
Curtis Payne.
Thank you. I don't know what I was saying. I'm
Trust
sorry.
me. I don't mind you
Payne.
altering
One
his
thing I was
name,
going to say
but-
real quick before we go on to the next topic. The Colts are a good team with Peyton Manning. Without Peyton Manning, you are terrible.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they're
I
abysmal.
mean, we're abysmal.
They're 3 and
13.
3-13 team without him.
And, okay, so on Monday, we had the supplemental draft, and Terrelle Pryor was picked up by the Oakland Raiders.
Who have Jamarcus Russell, who was a big flop.
And he's gone.
Yes.
And now Jason Campbell.
And now they have
is
Jason
there.
Campbell, who he's not that good, which the doctor here states, why are they picking him up? But me personally, as crazy as that owner is, we all know how Al Davis is.
Right.
That guy is just a loon.
The thing I'll say about Jason Campbell, I think that he's got a hell of an arm. He does, Jason Campbell.
He
But
absolutely does.
Terrelle Pryor will start for the Raiders before this season's over.
And I think
Mark my words.
I think you're right. Just on the presence that their O line is terrible. Their O line is Drek, and I think that people bust through that line. He takes so many hits. I think you're looking at a Tim Couch situation playing for the Cleveland Browns. Tim Couch, quarterback, #1 overall out of University of Kentucky a few years ago. And I think that you're looking at the same kind of thing right there. His career was cut short because he took hit after hit after hit after hit because of a weak offensive line when the Cleveland Browns restarted their franchise. And I think that you're going to see, although the Raiders are not restarting their franchise, they've been focusing more elsewhere other than their offensive line lately with the draft, with free agents and whatnot, because Al Davis couldn't make a decision to get out of a paper bag no matter what. I mean, Al Davis has got to go for Oakland to get back to their former glory.
Right.
Yep.
And before we move on to something a little not so great about football that happened over the weekend, one thing I forgot to mention in the viewer questions that is geared towards the fantasy freaks out there like me and the doctor here. If you were in a keeper league, which I explained that to you last night, and you had the choice of keeping either Arian Foster or Aaron Rodgers,
Arian Foster.
who would you keep?
Arian Foster, without a doubt. That's where most of your points are going to come from.
What do you
I
think?
go with Aaron Rodgers.
I think Arian Foster too. I'm with me. I mean, if you've been in fantasy enough, you know that running backs score most of your points and a lot of your points. Quarterbacks do get you quite a few points, but not quite as much. And actually, me and the doctor here are going to coincide on a team this season.
We got it going.
We got it going, so it should be good. And we'll definitely keep you all updated on how we're doing.
Yep.
So with that being said, the doctor here, you had a little unfortunate event involving
With my team.
and the Raiders again.
There was a couple things. I think just about every known form of battery and assault minus running over someone with a car happened at Candlestick Park on the second week of preseason this year.
It was bad.
Somebody got beat senseless in the third floor bathroom of Candlestick Park. Someone was stabbed.
Tragic.
And then somebody was shot twice in the stomach. Guys, this is preseason football we're talking about.
It wouldn't even be excusable in regular
Right,
season.
no, it wouldn't. I mean, I'm just saying, but I'm just going to make the point here.
Right.
It's preseason. I mean, I get. And you guys might disagree because you guys are, I understand you all love your teams. All right, I get it. And I've got rebuttals for both of you as soon as you crack off, if you're new here. But what I'm going to say is, the Battle of the Bay is the premier rivalry of the NFL. There is no questions asked. People know what the Battle of the Bay is. It happens every year preseason, every 4 years on the regular season, and they switch off between Oakland and San Francisco. Last year we won it at Candlestick Park. I mean, it is the biggest rivalry.
I'll give you that to an extent.
No, I mean,
And
I know what you're going to
No.
say. You're going to say the Giants and...
No,
you're
I'm not. I'm not. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'll give you that to an extent. That might have been the case, but I think the rivalry of the now and today and the new millennium has to be Patriots versus Colts.
I knew you were going to say that. And
I
I'll tell you
have
why.
another one myself.
What's that? Go
Well,
ahead.
if you're going to say something, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, it's obvious. I mean, they make the schedule where they play every year. Their games are always freaking awesome.
Epic.
Their playoff games are epic. And I'm not saying that just because I'm a Colts fan. I mean,
Right.
a lot of people outside of the norm tune in because it's always usually a Sunday or Monday night game, Colts v. Patriots. It draws ratings. It's the two best quarterbacks in the league going mano a mano. and you got one of the best coaches in the league in Bill Belichick.
But the
People want to see that.
But the thing is, that is not going to last. When you're talking about San Francisco and Oakland, you have a tradition with, barring the last few years, you have such tradition there with Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, and all these people that have made the Battle of the Bay what it is and what it will be. The Battle of the Bay, and people have said on ESPN last year during the playoffs when they made those funny little skits about the NFC West, who wants to lose in the NFC West because they were so direct last year. The thing everybody said is, one thing has to happen, and they're not in the NFC West, I know that, but they said two things have to happen for football to get back to its glory days. It will always be America's pastime, I'm not saying that, but to get back to the pinnacle of where it is, two things have to happen. It's across the board. Oakland has to get rid of Al Davis as an owner, and San Francisco has got to step it up. Without those two teams, that is your golden years right there. And it can't be argued. It is fact. It is truth. More than one person have said it. ESPN says it at least 60 times a year. And it's the one thing ESPN and I agree with. And I know the Seahawks are a good tradition. I know the Colts are a good tradition. The Colts have taken this state by storm. We were talking about this last week. The Colts are definitely Kentucky's team. But the fact of the matter is, when you're looking nationwide, San Francisco is probably the third largest fan base in the nation. And Oakland is not that far behind.
Right. I was going to mention the rivalry. I had a different opinion. Was the Ravens and the Steelers.
That is an epic rivalry too.
That's once again a little bit more recent.
Well, I'm saying because I know you're because with you guys, you don't automatically. I mean, you do play every year, but they play twice a year.
Right.
And it seems like, even though I am not the biggest Steelers fan, I'm not even a Steelers fan to begin with. But it seems like every game when they play, I watch it. It's always like a physical game.
Oh, yeah.
Those teams hate each other. It's a physical game.
Low scoring,
great defenses. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a great rivalry.
It is, but like I said,
to your point, the Raiders have not been that great in a long time, right. And the 49ers have been average at best for a long time. Right. So that rivalry is kind of lost.
It's kind of fizzled. But
it's lost, and it's kind of fizzled.
Right.
You notice, however, it was on TV on the East Coast.
Right. I get you there. Like I said, but I'm kind of going with the now and what's happened over the last 10, 12 years. And like he said, Ravens v. Steelers, Colts v. Patriots, I think, are two of the best rivalries.
All right, then.
Big B, a little tennis action you want to get into.
I know you don't want to hear this, but
I know the doctor gets a little hairy and hesitant.
I won't talk too long about it. Don't worry. But, so this past Sunday was the finals in Mason, Ohio, which is not that far from here.
Right.
Western and Southern Financial Open between Andy Murray, who's number 4 in the world, versus number 1 player in the world, Novak Djokovic. Andy Murray won the first set 6-4, and then the second set was 3-love. You're probably thinking, well, what happened to the other games? Djokovic retired. Now, if you don't know what that means in tennis terms, it means they stopped playing the match. They couldn't play anymore. And I was watching the match, and it seems like Djokovic was favoring his shoulder a little bit. I mean, he's been playing a lot of tennis. To be number 1 in the world, you got to play a lot. He's won every single match he's had this year except for 2. The one on Sunday and the one against Roger Federer at the French Open. So big props to Andy Murray for winning that match. And then you look forward to the U.S. Open, who the favorites are. Andy Murray's right up there because he's playing great tennis. Of course, you have to throw in Novak Djokovic and Nadal and Federer and all those people. And I'm going to throw in Marty Fish. Marty Fish won the U.S. Open Series, which is a big deal for him. You get like $2 million for winning that thing, getting the most points. And he's the best tennis player in America right now. I'm sorry Andy Roddick is done. I talked about this last week.
Right. Absolutely.
Andy Roddick's on his way down. Marty Fish is on his way up. The guy's in great shape. He's lost a lot of weight, and he's playing well. So I think Marty Fish is someone to look out for in the U.S. Open. I might say semifinal for him. So that's a little bit on the U.S. Open there. It starts on Monday on ESPN, so definitely tune into that.
A little tidbit, it was the same exit when we got back from Arizona. We went to Kings Island the day after, and we saw a tennis park. It's in Mason, Ohio, which is where Kings Island is.
Right. Another big thing that's going on right now that obviously only gets a lot of pub around this time of year, but I love to talk about. I told you I love watching. It's entrancing to me. The Little League World Series. Unfortunately, our local team. Congratulations, guys. We're making it to the World Series. They won a couple games, but they were eliminated last night in a freaking phenomenal game. Went 9 innings, which is 3 extra innings.
6.
Right, yeah.
3 extra innings in Little League. They lost 8-5.
It's a shame.
One big thing that did happen, Canada knocked off one of the favorites, Chinese Taipei.
Good. I'm glad about that. I'll tell you why. Because I saw a highlight of Chinese Taipei beating Aruba 20-3. And there was some kid. He was like the biggest brat I've ever seen. I swear. Okay, he's like slapping hands with the. He's like dancing around like he just won like the lottery. He's like it's unacceptable. You should not gloat to a team you beat by 20-3.
No,
the coach needs to assign them. You have to show respect to your team, and that's not a disrespect.
Canada never beat Chinese Taipei. They were like 0-17, and their closest margin was like 3 runs. So congratulations. The team from Pennsylvania, the local team, holy cow. Have you seen the crowds to watch their game?
They love it.
30,000 people for a Little League game. I'm not exaggerating.
That's more than WrestleMania 20.
Whoa!
It was. WrestleMania 20 had 20,000 people. It's Madison Square Garden.
Right, absolutely.
The city, that's all they do. You know how we have football cities and basketball cities? The city in Pennsylvania, Williamsport, they bring the city.
But that was crazy. 30,000 people. So I just wanted to touch on it. And next week, we'll obviously reveal who the Little League World Series champion is. We'll talk about that.
I think it's going to be Venezuela.
We'll see. So it'll be interesting to note. A little NASCAR tidbit here to kind of throw out.
It's just humorous.
Ouch.
Kyle Busch.
You're not on a NASCAR track.
No. You did win Sunday at Michigan, and I do realize you love going fast, kind of like Ricky Bobby. But
number 1.
But obviously, when he tested that sports car, doing 145 miles an hour on a back road in North
Kyle.
In a 45 zone.
In a 45 zone. Oh,
Kyle, I did this to you.
Kyle, we love you. You are like one of the best drivers out there in NASCAR right now. But
you are not, however, idiot of the week.
We'll get to that. Believe us.
So today it was levied. He actually got his driver's license suspended for 45 days. And before people ask that don't watch NASCAR, no, that doesn't mean he can't drive his race car, because it's well documented in the rules of NASCAR that you don't have to have a legal driver's license to drive in NASCAR.
It's kind of embarrassing if like you have to race. Hey, Kyle, want to go out to a bar sometime? Let's drive. Oh wait, you can.
So he agreed to probation, unsupervised, for 1 year, and he's going to do a program about teens and driving called B.RA.BK Breaks is what it's called. Before I get a little tongue tied there. So Kyle Busch, like I said. Just a little thing to throw out there. And another thing to throw out there for all you people who don't know, Tony Stewart, my favorite driver and one of the biggest names in NASCAR, signed the dash and engine of my 2011 Chevrolet Camaro this week.
If you want, you can check the link on the video on the Facebook page. We'll send you a link to that picture. It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty got some photos of that. So if you want to check that out. Now into something that I know we all want to get into.
Well, hold on. Are we gonna?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Calm down. I want to
get. I know it's your first show back from the trip, but just easy.
I know we want to get into this because this is a big topic.
Yeah, this is huge.
The thing going on with the University of Miami Hurricanes.
Okay. So what we've got here is Miami has been accused and being investigated about 15 players taking bribes, taking donations, taking whatever, from boosters, which is illegal against NCAA rules.
Right.
Not illegal, but against NCAA rules.
Yeah, it does happen.
The booster, he came out himself and said that he'd been doing this, which is weird. But, so, the whole thing is this. Should Miami get the NCAA college sports death penalty? It's been given to 5 schools before. Tell me which of these schools you've heard of before, okay? Now, granted, 2 of them are D2, okay? 2 of them are D2, but the 5 schools, the first one was UK, which led to their 52-53 season being vacated, which, of course, if you know anything about college sports, college basketball last year, UK became the first program to reach 2,000 wins. We should have done it the season before, but that season was vacated, and that was the 52-53 season. The other one was Louisiana, University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
The Raging Cajuns.
Southern Methodist.
It's probably the biggest one.
SMU.
Probably the biggest one. If you didn't see, there was a thing on ESPN E60. They covered that.
There was a 30 for 30 documentary.
Also, yeah, all 30.
And it was a really good documentary. Check it out.
I apologize, 30 for 30. And they talked about, like, all the schools at that time were doing it anyway, but they had the most prolific players. And they got a death penalty. They were banned from bowl games. They had just had the worst. That's the worst one I've seen.
The fourth one was Morehouse College, and the fifth one, and most recent, has been McMurray College. And the last two were both D2 schools. Yeah. UK is the only one that's been able to bounce back from a death penalty. Yeah. And basically, what the death penalty is: no postseason, you lose scholarships, no one schedules you, you just don't play in the sport you're accused of. And none of these schools, except for UK, has bounced back in that sport.
And we'll cover wrestling real quick, but we want to know what you guys think. So leave some comments on what you think is going to happen to Miami. Do you think they deserve the death penalty or not?
Well, and also I think it's interesting to note that bribe and gifts exchanging hands are the subject of this scandal here.
Right.
But it's also what just happened at OSU, right? Mm-hmm. And we're talking.
I mean, to an extent, you're right. It has, but I think the difference here. At OSU, the players were selling stuff to get free tattoos. Here, this was a booster that was giving these players money, but they weren't really giving up anything in return. They were just playing.
Right, but a booster gave Terrelle Pryor a couple of his cards.
Right,
we know that.
Right, absolutely.
That, which is the same thing here. And also, the ACC is already a conference in disarray. Okay, because you've got scandals at UNC, Georgia Tech.
Duke.
And Duke is looking into some serious secondary violations. And you've got this whole thing going on with the ACC. I don't see the death penalty being dropped at Miami. And I'll tell you why. Because when the conference is already in such disarray, I understand you have to lay down the law. I get that. I understand that. But at the same time, when your conference is looking bleak as it is for the next couple of years for sure,
right?
You've got to show a little bit of mercy, or else every school in the ACC, including your two powerhouses, North Carolina and Duke, are going to lose major cash, especially North Carolina, because they're football and basketball powerhouses. And you're looking at something like this that will just totally destroy the conference. However, when you're looking at Ohio State, I think the death penalty needs to be dropped on them.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the Big Ten needs to be brought down a couple pegs. Anyway, I'm a big SEC fan, and I think that Auburn should have gone through the death penalty personally, and I'm a huge SEC fan. But you've got to stop playing favorites when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that Miami needs the hammer dropped.
Yeah, Miami.
And this is why. Because they knew what was going on.
Yeah, they knew.
They absolutely knew. They did not report it. And it was even said several times on ESPN that if they'd have hired a private investigator, it would have been found out within less than a day.
Yeah.
Boom. All they had to do, end it. They chose to let it go on. I think they need to be made an example. Give them the death penalty. I apologize to Al Golden, the new coach down there. I realize you didn't know what you were getting into, obviously. So, I mean, yes, it does suck for you. But I think in this case, what Miami needs to do, they need to be respectful. Yeah. They need to let Al Golden, if he wants to, abandon his contract.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Without penalty. Yeah. I think that would be the fair and right thing to do. So Miami, they definitely need to be doing that.
I just want to reiterate though. I think that the death penalty in this case, you got to think what's best overall, the good of the many or the good of the few. It's a Star Trek adage, but it's so true. It really is. And I don't think you lower the death penalty on a school in a conference that is already so bleak and dismal in football. Yeah. And I just, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on that, but I don't think you. Even though Duke is in the ACC, and I loathe Duke, as do everybody who's not a Duke fan. Yeah. But I think that making the entire conference suffer is going to be a little extreme in this case. And I'm all for rules. You guys know that. Yeah. I hate officiating that goes wrong. I hate it when people play favorites. But to every rule, there is an exception, and I think we found the exception.
Well, let me ask you real quick that we forgot to ask about Terrelle Pryor. What do you think about the NFL honoring the NCAA's 5-game suspension?
I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. It shows him that, we're gonna take a step back here and we're gonna look and do the ethical thing for once. Who'd have thought it, right?
What are your thoughts?
I think everything he said, I agree with it.
I mean, I think so too. I mean, for once, they're actually doing something right, and they're not trying to. And they're actually saying, we're not going to fight it. We're just going to serve the suspension status quo and go from there. Mm-hmm. So,
y'all want to talk a couple things of wrestling, or y'all want to do the buy sell thing?
I think we should just end with wrestling here. We're kind of over here.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're a little excited. You're back. There's a lot of football. There's a lot of stuff going on.
But before we come to wrestling, we're done talking about football. We talk about a lot. Football is coming up real soon for us, and what we're going to do is next week you're going to see our regular show, Triple Threat Talk. But that very same weekend, that Saturday, you're going to see Triple Threat Talk's Football Spectacular. We've already reiterated it's going to be a 1 hour special. We're going to have a nice dry race board right here for you. We're going to have all the teams. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to pick our Super Bowl champions. We're going to go through that. So I hope you join us for that on that Saturday. So.
Right, absolutely. So let's cover a little SmackDown last week.
Oh, that's not.
Mark Henry wins the Battle Royal.
Oh, God.
Mark Henry wins the Battle Royal to become the new
Here's the thing, okay?
#1 contender.
They said, did you want Cody Rhodes to win? And I'll say no because I like him as an Intercontinental Champion at this point. And like I said, you need to get on the Cody Rhodes bandwagon or you're getting left behind. I'm telling you now.
That remains to be seen.
And the thing is, I know you're kind of peeved, is because if you watch SmackDown this past Friday, there was no sign whatsoever, not even a split-second shot of Christian, who just lost at the very last minute.
I mean, really.
What can you say about that?
I mean, there's not much to say other than, what the hell? I mean, really?
It just seems they don't like Christian.
It's like, what do you have something against Canadians or what? I mean, come on.
I mean, like, they screwed him once where he lost the title in the first week he was champion.
Right, and
then now he just lost and he's not even in the conversation at all. They just move on.
They just move on like, who's he? Oh, so bad.
Like, I wouldn't have minded it if they had Orton face Christian on SmackDown and Christian lost. That'd be fine. So Christian
because we even said that could have happened as a possibility. Obviously, it didn't. They have this 20-man battle royal where Mark Henry wins. Christian's not even in the battle royal. Christian's not even on SmackDown.
The final 4 people in that battle royal were Wade Barrett, Sheamus, Sin Cara or Hunico or Mystico, Sin Cara, and Mark Henry. And who wins? Mark Henry. Now, I personally thought Wade Barrett was going to win because I still assumed that Sheamus and Mark Henry were feuding, and they are. So why throw Mark Henry into the main event picture?
I'm lost here. I think Wade Barrett, once again, they're missing out on a great young superstar to go for the title.
I didn't want Sheamus to win.
Right.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think Wade Barrett should have won because, I mean, like you said, freaking Sheamus and Mark Henry
they're fighting this week on SmackDown.
This is getting back into some stuff that they were doing before this whole John Cena and CM Punk thing went off so well. They're doing a little bit of things that don't make sense. I understand. Once again, I got to reiterate, we understand his storyline.
Right.
I get that. But on a business standpoint, when you've got something that you're doing with already, you don't intervene with something else completely.
Right.
I think you give Wade Barrett his title shot. Again, he's earned it.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't understand about Mark Henry getting a shot. Like, if he legitimately beat Sheamus 1, 2, 3, then I couldn't make any argument against him. He beat him by countout.
Right.
What big win did you get to get this shot?
I mean, and another big thing is how many botches has Wade Barrett done lately? None. The guy, he is perfect. He's a guy that you love to hate, and I mean, he's just. I think he's a step
I don't get it. I'm with you.
I think he's a step on Cody Rhodes. No offense, but he is because he's already had the IC title, and everything like that. I mean, it's true. I don't understand why you take somebody who's feuding already and you give them a title shot, potentially throwing them into another feud. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Well, I mean, they're fighting this Friday on SmackDown, so I'll see what goes on with that.
So moving on to Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
New tag team champions.
So Joe Henning, Michael McGillicuddy, and David Otunga. Woohoo. They beat the new tag team of Air Kingston, as I like to call them.
Whoa, you get that wrong. Air Kingston beat McGillicuddy and Otunga. You said McGillicuddy and Otunga beat Air Kingston, but that's okay.
It happens.
I know you're excited to see the doctor, but it's okay.
That's it.
I make people speechless.
I'd rather see
Whoa! Let's keep it PG here.
Sorry.
PG.
I'd rather see Domo in that spot. At least he doesn't ramble.
Spider-Man. Because he's epic.
Anyway.
I was rooting for Godzilla personally.
Anyway, let's get back on topic.
Yeah, please, God.
So, as I said, Eric Kingston beat Otunga and Joe Henning, Michael McGillicuddy. And it seems they're trying to revamp the tag team division. It seems like maybe, because we've been hearing things in the past couple weeks, they're trying to get the Kings of Wrestling, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero, Generation Me from TNA. So they're
teaming up Kingston and Bourne. Now you're talking they're probably going to make a Miz and R-Truth.
Yeah, Awesome Truth.
And the Usos have been built up.
So it seems like the tag team division's getting a lot better.
Which is good, because it needs to be.
And I think the loss by McGillicuddy and Otunga is a good thing for McGillicuddy, because I think he's going to go out on his own.
Right.
So I like that too.
And the next thing, do we really,
well,
as if we didn't know.
Here's the thing, okay?
Well, wait a minute.
What?
We can cover this first.
Okay.
Because it has not, it does, but it doesn't. Honestly, like Doctor would always say, really, like, we didn't know that was coming. John Cena yet again!
Well, I was going to cover that. I said, like, John Cena's number one contender.
Right.
I was, like, saying during the night, here's what's going to happen. I'll say right now, and we'll get into it also. John Laurinaitis is in cahoots with Kevin Nash. So that's why he told Triple H, Kevin Nash got in a car accident, so he would leave, so that way Kevin can distract CM Punk and John Cena can pick up the win.
I'm still not convinced that Triple H, this isn't some big elaborate scheme we've seen before, but it's interesting to watch this storyline. I like the storyline.
The reason I say, I think Laurinaitis is in cahoots with Kevin Nash, I think Laurinaitis was happy where McMahon was. He liked him in charge. He liked being his, buddy, so to speak. And when Triple H took over, he's like, I don't like this change. I'm going to do what I can to screw him over. So that's what he did.
And regardless of CM Punk being the number one contender or not, he still loves Waffle House.
Yeah, he still loves Waffle
House. Yeah, you didn't get to comment on that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was good.
But if you didn't see, Kevin Nash came out and CM Punk got in the ring and he got in his face. He said some very hurtful things to Triple H. I don't think he cared for it too much. And Nash hit him. Nash laid a shot on CM Punk.
Shot.
So I see a match coming soon between these two.
I do too. So, and it's going to be one of those. Since Nash doesn't work here, it's an unsanctioned street fight. It won't be at Night of Champions.
But we all know he works there. That's the thing.
Storyline he doesn't.
But he does work there. So there wasn't really a lot of wrestling to talk about. Obviously.
Alberto Del Rio actually did wrestle on both shows this past week. SmackDown, he fought Daniel Bryan, which is a great match. And then last night on Raw, he fought John Morrison in another good match.
Yeah, and that was a good match. Obviously Morrison didn't win, but he put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, he always does. That's why we love him.
And I love Alberto Del Rio. It's well documented. Yeah. Alberto!
Now, when I came back from Arizona, I loved hearing that Alberto Del Rio was the new champ. I loved it.
All right.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. It's great.
So we're on our way to Night of Champions so far. As of right now, there's only 2 matches confirmed. Alberto Del Rio versus John Cena and Randy Orton versus Mark Henry.
Okay, I don't foresee either title change. Just saying. Because every major title changed hands in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Intercontinental, Tag Team, WWE, and World Heavyweight title. Yeah. All changed hands in the last 2 weeks.
I think that about does it.
I think so.
Next week we're going to have 2 special guests with us. From the Mayhem Mayhem.
I like how you made him look good on there.
Yeah. The Mayhem Wrestling Federation. They're good friends of ours, and we're going to get them on to plug the show. It's going to be Daniel Waters and John Doyle joining us next week.
All right then.
And interesting.
Just to let you know, next week what we're going to intend to do, so we can recap it. SmackDown next week is live on Tuesday. We're probably going to shoot the show after SmackDown. Right. That way we can cover SmackDown from Friday and the past Tuesday.
Right, absolutely. So with that being said, this is Postmaster Jones.
This is Big B.
This is the Doctor.
See ya.
Thanks for watching, guys. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/triplethreattalk. You can follow us on Twitter at triplethreattalk. And you can send us any comment or question you have at triplethreattalk@yahoo.com. And once again, guys, please check out talkaboutit.org. It's a great organization. Please check it out. Thanks for watching, guys.